106.5 CRI Radio.
Welcome back to the morning show with Larissa and Laken. Today we are delighted to have Ariana from Equilibrio Gems with us to share her experience as an entrepreneur.
Equilibrio Gems is a Toronto-based brand that creates natural gemstone jewelry with a touch of minimalistic glam to help you achieve your inner equilibrium. Welcome, Ariana.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Okay, so our first question is, what does your company do?
Okay, so I own Equilibrio Gems, which is an all-natural gemstone jewelry line focusing on the healing properties of each of the gemstones while remaining, very fashionable and wearable for the wearer.
Cool.
Where did this idea come from?
Basically, I grew up with gemstones as a kid. I collected a lot of gemstones and rocks around like lakes and rivers. And there used to be a store called Green Earth. I don't even know if it's still around, but they used to carry like tumbled gemstones. And I used to collect a lot of them. My mom still has my box of gemstones. So I was like, oh my God, that's really crazy that you kept that. But I initially started the company in 2016. Like I had everything all set up. However, I started another business which kind of took over my jewelry business.
Okay.
So the focus, we'll talk about that, but.
So what motivated you to start this business?
I initially made the jewelry for myself, and I had a lot of friends who basically said, you should start selling your designs. They're very beautiful, and that kind of gave me the idea to turn it into a full-fledged business. Everything kind of happened overnight. So when I relaunched last January, I started the Instagram account and the social media and the Facebook and, kind of bombarding every social media out there with Equilibrio Gems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you started, did you develop a business plan, and why or why not?
Initially, I didn't, because I didn't really know where Equilibrio Gems was going at the time. I knew I was just very excited. Over time, I started to realize I needed to keep track of all the financials that I put into the business, the revenue that I made from every vendor show. So over time, I did develop a business plan just to keep organized, create short-term and long-term goals, because I feel as an entrepreneur, it's important to have kind of an outline of where you want your business over time, instead of just, going day by day, being like, we'll just see where this happens, like where this takes me.
Cool. Okay, so how did your personal experience, education, and interests help you with your business?
Like I said in the previous question, I did grow up with gemstones, so I had a very deep fascination with, all the gemstone crystallizations that each gemstone has. My degree is in biochemistry, so that ultimately did not translate to my current business whatsoever. But I do feel like the perseverance and the drive that I had as a student in university helped me have those qualities as an entrepreneur.
Did you always have the goal of becoming an entrepreneur and starting this business, or did you initially plan on working for someone else?
Initially, I did plan to work for someone else. I did want to, initially after graduating from Ryerson, I wanted to become a researcher. I was thinking about doing my master's, at some point maybe do a PhD and just solely do research. Then I had a plan of going into pharmacy, but then at the time I was working for a tutoring business. And I just felt like their work ethic wasn't where I thought a business should be. So that's when I started my own tutoring business. That's my other business. Yeah.
So did you have any business or entrepreneurial experience prior to Equilibrio Gems?
Yeah, so in 2015, I did start Learn for Less Tutors, which I'm the founder and owner of. So seeing, what worked, what didn't work definitely helped me create a foundation for my gemstone jewelry business. It's definitely hard owning your own business, because it's only you, and, you have a lot of pressure, and you make all the decisions and the last calls and all that kind of stuff. But starting Equilibrio Gems was definitely a lot easier. And, starting a second business was definitely a lot easier.
Starting this business, Equilibrio Gems, did you require external investment to start?
No external investment. Same with my other business. There's no really overhead for Equilibrio Gems. So what I did was all the savings that I had, I invested into product for the jewelry company. So all the money that went in, and marketing and the website came basically the funding from me.
Mm-hmm. And how has the business evolved from the initial idea?
That's a good one. Okay, so in the beginning, like I said, I didn't really know where I wanted Equilibrio Gems to be. I knew I was just very excited to kind of have that creative edge back, because I feel as though being a student in an institution, it kind of diminishes your creativity because you're constantly enveloped in textbooks and reading.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to, have that like creative edge.
Yeah.
So when I started, I was just like, oh my God, I'm just so happy to have this creative edge back, So I have to say that it definitely did evolve over time as I grew in supporters of my designs. Getting that positive feedback, and, having people appreciate the little luxe gemstone jewelry line that I've created has definitely been a huge change from where I started and where my designs initially were. So I can definitely see an involvement between my initial designs, which were kind of scattered and all over the place, to today, where they're more structured. Every piece kind of has a underlying similar design. So I got to know what worked.
What qualities and characteristics do you believe are important to be a successful entrepreneur?
I think the top two definitely has to be passion. If you're not passionate about, your business, I believe that the likelihood of that business failing is a lot higher than, if you have passion. Also, I think perseverance and resilience are extremely important as well.
Okay. And what does the average day of an entrepreneur look like for you?
Pretty busy.
Busy.
I never start the day without coffee. It is
yes.
a huge driver to the start of the day. I always answer every single email that I get in both businesses. And then, I kind of just go about my day. I tend to create mostly in the evenings, because I feel like the creative juices are more flowing in terms of creating gemstone designs in the evening for some reason for me. But I always ensure whichever vendor shows I have upcoming that I have enough product in advance, so I'm not completely scattered, to the upcoming days of the show. But yeah, the days are always busy.
What do you find most enjoyable about being an entrepreneur?
Just being your own boss and making your own decisions. It's extremely rewarding to have an impact in an industry that didn't come from someone else. It came from you. So I have to say that is definitely very rewarding for me, is making an impact in an industry that you had to do with, basically.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
So do you work alone, or have you hired other people to work underneath you as well?
In terms of my gemstone business, no, it's just myself at the moment. My tutoring business, I do have tutors who work for me. Yeah.
Okay. And what is one of the biggest challenges you face or have faced as an entrepreneur?
There are a few.
Oh, no.
I think initially, I will never forget this. My first vendor show with Equilibrio Gems, at the end of it, had a lot of self-doubt because there was another gemstone jewelry company that was selling products probably more than half of what I was selling. And I had a lot of self-doubt, and I questioned myself, wondering if what price point I put these pieces, if it was going to sell, like people would respond positively about it. So I questioned that, but then came to realize that what I stand for in terms of Equilibrio Gems is a luxe brand of gemstone jewelry. I would not want to compromise my price for the product because of someone else. Also, marketing. For both businesses, I realized that print marketing just simply doesn't work. Newspaper ads, magazine ads, having your logo on, let's say, reusable bags just simply didn't work. And, a lot of money goes into those, marketing services. I find Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any other type of social media is the best way to market your business, because that's where the future is going. Everyone is so attached to social media. And then lastly, I would have to say hiring employees for my tutoring business. Going through dozens of emails and finding that diamond in the rough and making sure not only can they teach the subject, but in a very constructive way to the student. Because you're building a relationship between the student and the tutor. So making sure they're very personable has also been a challenge.
So we just want to end off with, if you had one piece of advice for anyone starting a business, what would it be?
Piece of advice I would say for someone being an entrepreneur or becoming an entrepreneur is don't give up. There are going to be some very dark days, cloudy days, a lot of self-doubt, but it's important to never give up, especially if you believe in your product or your service or your business overall, and to just be authentic, just to be yourself. I believe a lot of people respond positively and more successfully towards businesses when they're organic and authentic. So, being someone that you're not, is probably not the best.
Okay. That's some good advice. That concludes our interview, actually. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time to answer our questions and do this interview.
Thank you for having me.
To find out more about Equilibrio Gems, visit her website, equilibriogems.com, or follow her on Instagram and Facebook at Equilibrio Gems.
And that's it for today's program. This was Larissa and Laken bringing to you the morning show, weekday mornings from 9 to 12. We will be back tomorrow morning.